Hello students, welcome to the English class. Today I am going to continue with the same chapter packing, which is the 7th chapter of your book Beehive, and you all know that it is written by Jerome K. Jerome, and this chapter is about the three friends, that is Jerome, the narrator himself, Harris and George, who are three friends and who are about to set out on a journey. The story begins with the important task of packing stuff for this journey. As everyone do, we also when we go out we have to pack the various necessary things that we require on a trip or on a journey. So Jerome, the narrator, overestimates his packing skills and tell his friend to let him handle it all by himself, that he will do all the packing as he is skilled in packing. So then, however, the real intention of the narrator Jerome was to make George and Harris do the packing under his supervision and guidance. But his friends take his advice seriously and, to his great shock, stretch themselves comfortably, leaving him with all the running around. Though irritated with their attitude, Jerome straightaway gets busy with packing. After a long drawn packing session, he finally straps up the bag. Both his friends watch him quietly, and when he is done with packing, Harris declares that the shoes have been left unpacked and the bag has to be reopened again to accommodate the shoes. And irritated Jerome is just done with packing the shoes when he is reminded of his toothbrush. So, unsure about having packed his toothbrush, Jerome has to empty the bag and hunt through all its contents to locate the brush. And after a lot of efforts, he finds the brush in one of the boots. Anyhow, the bag is packed again. Then the next query comes from George regarding the soap, and Jerome is so irritated by this time that he does not even bother about his query and straps up the bag. But the very next moment he has to unpack it again, as he had packed in his spectacles by mistake, and eventually it is past 10 when the packing is finally done. Keeping in mind the amount of time taken by Jerome to pack the bag, George and Harris decide to pack the hampers themselves and show Jerome the real art of packing. However, they are equally clumsy and break a cup at the very outset. So now we are going to read further what happens when George and Harris takes the job or takes the initiative to pack the hampers or pack the food basket. So now let's read what happens. They started with breaking a cup. That was the first thing they did. They did that just to show you what they could do and to let you get interested. So in these lines now the scene became very interesting as they broke a cup at the start. At the beginning of the packing only, George and Harris, they broke the cup, and Jerome says that they broke the cup to indicate that they could do that too and to make things interesting. Then further, the next line, then Harris packed the strawberry jam on top of a tomato and squashed it, and they had to pick out the tomato with a teaspoon. So here the word squash means crush or squeeze something with force so that it becomes flat, soft or out of shape. So in these lines now Harris, he placed the jar of strawberry jam on top of the tomatoes. So the person who is not skilled in packing or who do not know the art of packing does all this mess. So Harris also created this mess. He just packed the strawberry jam on tomatoes, and you can think what would have happened to the tomatoes. So that is the same thing, that tomatoes were squeezed by the jar, as the jar was heavy and tomatoes, they got squeezed by the weight of the jar, and then they removed the damaged tomato with the help of a spoon. Then further, and then it was George's turn and he trod on the butter. I didn't say anything, but I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched them. It irritated them more than anything. The next paragraph says, and then it was George's turn and he trod on the butter. I didn't say anything, but I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched them. Then it irritated them more than anything I could have said. I felt that it made them nervous and excited, and they stepped on things and put things behind them, and then couldn't find them when they wanted them. And they packed the pies at the bottom and put heavy things on top and smashed the pies in. So, in these lines, the narrator says that next George stepped on the butter and Jerome remained silent but sat on the edge of the table to watch the action or watch the work done by George and Harris. And his silence irritated his friends. That is, Jerome's silence irritated his friend George and Harris, and they became nervous and stepped on the things, and they kept the things behind them, and later when they wanted them they could not find them. They placed the pies on the bottom and kept heavier things on them, which smashed the pies. So the next paragraph says, they upset salt over everything. And as for the butter, I never saw two men do more with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. And after George had got it off his slipper, they tried to put it in the kettle. It wouldn't go in, and what was in it wouldn't come out. They did scrape it out at last and put it down on a chair, and Harris sat on it, and it stuck to him, and they went looking for it all over the room. So in these lines now, the word upset means overturn and scrape means drag or pull. So in these lines now, boys, what they did, they overturned the can of salt and on all the things, on everything. And Jerome says that they created a lot of confusion with a small piece of butter, and he had not seen anyone create so much mess with butter that was worth 1 or 2 pence. That means it was very, very small. That piece of butter was very small as they did. And George removed it from his slipper and tried to put it into the kettle. And as he was unable to do that, he placed the piece of butter on a chair. And Harris then after that sat on it, and the butter stuck to him. He stood up and both the boys went around the room looking for the piece of butter. So again it is very humorous that he kept the butter on the chair and sat on it, and then after that he was searching for that butter all around the room. Then it says, I'll take my oath. I put it on that chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. I saw you do it myself not a minute ago, said Harris. So here the word oath means to swear upon something. So George, he looked intently at the empty seat on which he had placed the butter a few minutes ago. So as the butter had stuck on his back, so he could not see the butter, but he was unable to understand that. And he took an oath of truthfulness that he had placed it there not even a minute ago, and now he does not know where it has disappeared. So then further it says, then they started round the room looking for it, and then they met again in the center and stared at one another. Once again they searched it in the room, and they met in the middle of the room empty-handed. Means they did not find anything. They searched the whole room they roamed around the whole room. They searched for the butter, but they could not find, and they returned and met with each other without finding anything. Then further the next paragraph says, most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. So mysterious, said Harris. Then George got round at the back of Harris and saw it. Why, here it is all the time, he exclaimed indignantly. So in these lines, the word indignantly means in a manner indicating anger or annoyance at something perceived as unfair. So George, he said that the disappearance of the butter was the most amazing thing that he had known. And Harris, said that the disappearance of the butter was a great mystery. It was a very mysterious thing. And George saw the butter sticking to Harris's back and said that it had been there all this while. Then the next line says, "Where?" cried Harris, spinning around. "Stand still, can't you?" roared George, flying after him. So now, what happened? Harris, he turned around and asked for it was where that piece of butter was. And George flew to Harris's back and asked him to stand still. And they removed the butter and packed it inside the teapot. So, and they got it off and packed it in the teapot. Then, now the 12th paragraph says, Montmorency was in it all, of course. Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sworn at. If he can squirm in anywhere where he particularly is not wanted and be a perfect nuisance and make people mad and have things thrown down thrown at his head, then he feels this day has not been wasted. So again it is a very humorous thing. Now here there is an entry of the dog. So first we'll see to the meaning of all the hard words in this paragraph. The word sworn at means get scolded, squirm means to wriggle or twist one's body, and nuisance means to cause inconvenience or annoyance. His aim was to interrupt everyone and then get scolded for it. And Jerome adds that if Montmorency was able to twist into a place and create nuisance by angering people and get things thrown at him in return, he felt that he had utilized the day in a good way. So this was the habit of the dog Montmorency, who was the pet dog of Jerome. So now what happened? Now this dog, he irritated these three fellows, and it was his habit to make the people shout at him and throw things in return, and then only he used to feel satisfied. Then further, the next line says, to get somebody to stumble over him and curse him steadily for an hour is his highest aim and object. And when he has succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit becomes quite unbearable. So here the word stumble means to trip over a hurdle, curse means scold, and conceit means, here in these lines, it means his pride in himself. So now Montmorency's aim was to get people trip over him and scold him, and by doing this he felt that he had fulfilled his aim and would feel proud of his achievement. Then further, the 13th paragraph says, he came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed, and he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold, damp nose that they wanted. And he put his leg into the jam, and he worried the teaspoons, and he pretended that the lemons were rats, and got into the hamper and killed 3 of them. Both Harris could land him with the frying pan. So now what happened in these lines? The word worried means disturbed, pretended means to behave as if something is true when you know that it is not, and land him means hit or punch someone. So in these lines now Montmorency, what he did, the dog, he sat on the things that were to be packed, and he thought that when George and Harris reached out for the things to be packed, they were reaching out for his cold wet nose and would bring it forward for them. And he stepped into the jam bottle, he shook the teaspoons, he acted as if the lemons were rats, and he started barking at them, and stepped into the hamper to kill these rats. And he was stopped by Harris, who hit him with a frying pan. Then further, now next line says, Harris said, I encouraged him. I didn't encourage him. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. It's the natural, original sin that is born in him and that makes him do things like that. Now the next paragraph says, Harris said, I encouraged him. I didn't encourage him. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. And it's the natural original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that. So in these lines now, Harris, he blamed Jerome for encouraging Montmorency for doing all this mischief. And Jerome says that a dog like Montmorency did not need any kind of encouragement, and it was born to be like that and act like that. So the next line says, Harris said, the packing was done at 12:50 and Harris sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. And George said that if anything was broken, it was broken. With reflection seemed to comfort him. And he also said he was ready for bed. That means he was ready for sleep now. We were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night and we went upstairs. So in these lines the word reflection means thought. So what happened at 12:50? They had packed the hampers also. Everything was packed for the journey. And then after that Harris sat on it and he then said that hopefully nothing would break in it, in the hamper. Nothing would break in the hamper as earlier many cups and saucers had already been broken. So George was indifferent and said that if something broke, it would not matter now, as they were ready for bed, and so they went upstairs to sleep. Then next line says, we tossed for beds and Harris had to sleep with me. He said, do you prefer the inside or the outside, Jay? I said, I generally prefer to sleep inside a bed. Harris said, it was odd. George said, what time shall I wake you fellows? Harris said, 7. I said, no, 6, because I wanted to write some letters. So in these lines, the word toss means throw something somewhere lightly or casually. So in these lines, so as they settled in their beds, Harris asked Jerome if he preferred the inside or the outside of the bed. And Jerome said that he preferred to sleep on the inside of the bed. And this seemed strange to Harris. George asked them that he should wake them up at what time. Then Harris on this replied 7, while Jerome, he wanted to wake up at 6 as he had to write some letters. Harris and I had to bit of a row over, but at last split the difference and said 6:30. Wake us at 6:30, George, we said. So in these lines, a bit of row means an argument, and then split in difference means, this means that they agreed on 6:30 because it was halfway between 6 and 7. On 6:30 and each accommodating his time by half an hour. So they said that apna tera na mera. So they told George to wake them at 6:30, not 6 nor 7. Then further, let's see what happens. George made no answer, and we found on going over that he had been asleep for some time. So we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning and went to bed ourselves. So now what happened? What the word tumble here in these lines means to fall quickly without any control. So now George, as he did not respond because he was asleep, so what did Jerome and Harris did? They just wanted to do the mischief with George, so they made the mischief by placing the bathtub next to George's bed so that he would fall into it as he woke up, on the next pretext that this way he would take a bath as soon as he got up. So in all these lines, now we have seen that George and Harris, when they decided to pack the hamper and they started off with the job of packing the food articles, then what happened? They started breaking the cups at the very outset, and this was followed by squashing a tomato, treading on the butter and smashing the pies by putting heavy things on them, and salt flies all over while they were packing. So this is the mess that they made while packing. So this shows that they were not at all skilled in packing, and they did not know how to pack the things. Then after peeling the butter off George's slipper, then they tried unsuccessfully to squeeze it into the kettle, and they finally scrape it up and put it down on the chair, and Harris sits on it and the butter gets stuck to his back, and then both of them go about searching for butter all over the room, and later George locates it behind Harris's back and it is packed in the teapot. And then after that there is entry of the dog Montmorency. Montmorency, their pet dog, contributes his bit to their exercise of packing by sitting on things, climbing into the jam and crushing lemons as though they were rats. And finally the packing is done by 12:50 at night, and this is followed by a discussion on the wake up time, and George is so tired that he sleeps off even before the time he decided upon. And Jerome and Harris, they decide that 6:30 in the morning would be the right time to get up, and then they too go off to sleep. So now let us discuss the title, packing, whether it is an appropriate title given to the chapters. We can say that it is an appropriate title for this extract from the novel Three Men in a Boat, as it forms one of the chapters of the novel. The three men are Jerome, George and Harris. They have to go on a pleasure boat journey and have to pack for it, and all three of them think they are past masters in the art of packing, but all they ended up creating is utter mess, and they are disorganized, unplanned, foolish, careless and unsystematic, and they cannot properly pack a thing. They blame each other for being poor at packing, and each boasts of his packing acumen. Thus the extract is all about packing, and therefore we can say that the title is appropriate. Now let us discuss the message of this chapter. What message do we get from this chapter? So this chapter humorously describes the do's and don'ts of packing, and packing should not be treated as a frivolous activity but as a serious task which involves concentration and alertness, and you all need a presence of mind while you are packing. And another message the account gives is that if we have a pet, it should be well trained and should not be like Montmorency. So this is the main message of the story or of this chapter, packing. Hope you all have understood it. Thank you and goodbye.